The term deep state has become increasingly prevalent in political discourse, often evoking images of shadowy figures pulling strings behind the scenes of government. But what exactly is the deep state? Where did this concept originate, and how has it evolved over time? This video will explore the complex and often controversial topic of the deep state, examining its origins, development, and the various theories surrounding its alleged motives and influence. To begin, it is essential to define what we mean by the deep state. In its broadest sense, the deep state refers to an alleged network of influential individuals within government, military, intelligence agencies, and other institutions who are believed to work together to manipulate or control state policy, regardless of which political party is in power. This concept suggests that there is a permanent government operating behind the scenes, separate from and potentially at odds with the elected government. The origins of the deep state concept can be traced back to various historical contexts. One of the earliest and most significant examples comes from Turkey. In the mid-20th century, the term derin devlet, which translates to deep state, emerged to describe a suspected network of military officers, intelligence operatives, business elites, and organized crime figures who were believed to be the real power behind the Turkish government. The Turkish deep state was thought to have originated in the aftermath of World War II, as a means to protect the secular nature of the Turkish state against perceived internal and external threats. This shadowy network was alleged to have influenced policy, manipulated elections, and even carried out acts of violence to maintain its power and pursue its agenda. The concept of a deep state is not unique to Turkey, however. Similar ideas have emerged in various forms across different countries and time periods. In the United States, for example, the notion of a hidden government can be traced back to the early 20th century, with concerns about the growing power of unelected bureaucrats in the military-industrial complex. The term gained significant traction in American political discourse during the Trump administration, with the former president and his allies frequently invoking the idea of a deep state working against their agenda. This modern incarnation of the deep state theory in the U.S. often focuses on career government employees, intelligence agencies, and other long-standing institutions that are perceived to resist or undermine the policies of elected officials. As the concept of the deep state has evolved, so too have the theories about its motives and methods. Some proponents of deep state theories argue that its primary goal is to maintain the status quo and protect the interests of powerful elites. They suggest that the deep state works to prevent significant changes to foreign policy, economic structures, or social norms that might threaten established power dynamics. Others claim that the deep state pursues a specific ideological agenda, whether it be promoting globalization, maintaining military interventionism, or advancing particular economic policies. In some more extreme versions of deep state theories, the alleged hidden government is accused of orchestrating major world events, controlling the media, or even engaging in nefarious activities such as drug trafficking or assassination plots. It is important to note, however, that many of these claims about the deep state's motives and actions are speculative and often lack substantial evidence. While it is true that bureaucracies and institutions can develop their own cultures and priorities that may sometimes conflict with those of elected officials, the idea of a cohesive, all-powerful shadow government is generally regarded by scholars and analysts as an oversimplification of complex political realities. Critics of deep state theories argue that they often serve as convenient explanations for political setbacks or unpopular policies, allowing politicians and commentators to deflect blame onto a nebulous, unseen enemy. They also point out that the concept can be used to undermine trust in democratic institutions and processes, potentially weakening the foundations of representative government. Despite these criticisms, the idea of the deep state continues to hold sway in political discussions and public imagination. This persistence can be attributed to several factors. First, the complexity of modern governance. With its vast bureaucracies and intricate networks of power, can be difficult for many people to understand or trust. The deep state provides a simple, albeit often inaccurate, explanation for this complexity. Second, real instances of government secrecy, covert operations, and abuses of power throughout history have lent credence to the idea that there might be more going on behind the scenes than the public is aware of. Events such as the Watergate scandal, the Iran-Contra affair, and revelations about mass surveillance programs have all contributed to a climate of suspicion about hidden government activities. Third, the rise of social media and alternative news sources has allowed deep state theories to spread rapidly and gain traction among various groups. These platforms often amplify sensational claims and conspiracy theories, making it challenging for many people to distinguish between factual information and speculative or false narratives. To better understand the concept of the deep state and its alleged influence, it is helpful to examine some specific areas where deep state theories often focus. One common claim is that the intelligence community, particularly agencies like the CIA and NSA, operate with a high degree of autonomy and pursue their own agendas, sometimes at odds with official government policy. While it is true that intelligence agencies do operate with a certain level of secrecy and independence, they are still subject to oversight from elected officials and must operate within legal frameworks. The idea that these agencies form a cohesive deep state that consistently undermines elected governments is not supported by evidence. However, there have been instances throughout history where intelligence agencies have overstepped their bounds or engaged in controversial activities, which has fueled deep state narratives. Another area often associated with deep state theories is the military-industrial complex. This term, famously used by President Dwight D. Eisenhower in his farewell address, refers to the relationship between a country's military defense industry and political leadership. Some deep state theories suggest that this complex operates as a self-perpetuating entity, promoting military interventions and arms production to maintain its power and profits. While there are legitimate concerns about the influence of defense contractors and military leaders on policy decisions, the idea of a monolithic deep state controlling all aspects of military and foreign policy is an oversimplification. In reality, military and foreign policy decisions are the result of complex interactions between various stakeholders, including elected officials, military leaders, diplomats, and public opinion. The bureaucracy itself is another frequent target of deep state accusations. Career civil servants, who remain in their positions across multiple administrations, are sometimes portrayed as a resistance force working against the agenda of elected officials. While it is true that bureaucracies can be slow to change and may sometimes resist new policies, the characterization of all career government employees as part of a coordinated deep state is not accurate. In fact, the continuity provided by career civil servants is often crucial for the effective functioning of government, ensuring that essential services and operations continue regardless of political changes. The tension between elected officials and career bureaucrats is a natural part of democratic governance, rather than evidence of a sinister deep state. Financial institutions and economic policies are also frequently linked to deep state theories. Some proponents argue that central banks, international financial organizations, and powerful business leaders form a network that controls global economic policy, often to the detriment of ordinary citizens. While it is true that these entities wield significant influence, the idea that they operate as a unified deep state oversimplifies the complex and often conflicting interests within the global economic system. As we examine these various aspects of deep state theories, it becomes clear that the concept often conflates real issues of power, influence, and governance with speculative and sometimes unfounded claims. While there are certainly valid concerns about the concentration of power, lack of transparency in some government operations, and the influence of special interests, the idea of a cohesive, all-powerful deep state operating in the shadows is not supported by evidence. It is important to approach claims about the deep state with critical thinking and skepticism. While healthy skepticism of government and powerful institutions is a crucial part of democratic society, uncritical acceptance of deep state narratives can lead to a breakdown of trust in democratic institutions and processes. Instead of relying on deep state theories to explain complex political realities, it is more productive to focus on tangible issues of governance, such as improving transparency, strengthening oversight mechanisms, and promoting civic engagement. These approaches can address many of the concerns that underlie deep state theories without resorting to oversimplified or unfounded explanations. In conclusion, the concept of the deep state has evolved from its origins in Turkish politics to become a global phenomenon, particularly prominent in contemporary American political discourse. While the term taps into real concerns about power, governance, and democracy, it often oversimplifies complex political realities and can be misused to promote unfounded conspiracy theories. Understanding the origins, evolution, and alleged motives of the deep state concept can help us better navigate the complex landscape of modern politics. By approaching these ideas with critical thinking and a commitment to factual evidence, we can work towards addressing real issues of governance while avoiding the pitfalls of oversimplified or speculative narratives. The challenge lies in maintaining a balance between healthy skepticism of power structures and the recognition that democratic institutions, despite their flaws, remain essential for accountable and representative governance.